4, 3, 2, 1. Madam Speaker, ladies and gentlemen, if you're a crazy guy or a bad guy who kills people, who kills elites, your main interest is to be able to get out of it, to be able to preserve whatever long-term aspiration you want. That is to say, you want to have your cake and eat it too, and be able to somehow get away with the bad stuff and also preserve someone who is most proximate to you. And we think, absent intimacy and sex, which is a round winning engagement in and of itself, I think it's just better to be able to protect someone who you have a long term plan with. Because I love everyone in Forum, but I just happen to love Belle more because I have plans to have a family with her in the future and literally do more things and have more shared context, in as much as I love all the boys here who I consider one of my best friends. There are 3 important questions I'm going to ask in my extension. Other rebuttal and comparative will be integrated. The first question is, why the fuck did you murder the rich dude in Camp C in the first place? Which I think was an awesome POI that Miguel raised earlier on to opening, but unfortunately never fully failed to really explain in his case. We think there are many fucking reasons you can do it. Revenge, political or business rival, or you're just crazy and sick in the head. But here's the kicker. Regardless of why you did it, you probably have a long-term motivation to be able to get away, and that long-term metric of motivation by proximity and frequency is going to affect your partner more than your best friend. Because sure, you want to be able to frame them, but also to some extent, care about them, right? Which is why we think on our side of the house, we rather frame the best friend because they're both important to you, but there's just more shared context in the past and more things to do in the future with your partner. Things like raising a family, things like achieving dreams together, and things like living in the world where you got away scot-free with those particular murders. We think that that's particularly important, and that motivation of why you did it is an important nuance. The second thing I want to say here is that opening opposition ends their characterization at sex and intimacy, but we think that this metric of being forward-looking and wanting to get away with it preserves your future with your actual partner. By virtue of just math, guys. You know those things on Facebook where it shows, here's a linear graph of time spent over time with your partner, with your fucking pet, and with your friend. It becomes intermittent with your friend as you get older, in as much as you were super close young. But this is forward looking because you killed someone because you want to do more stuff in the future, and that scale of you doing things with your partner in the future in and of itself may be a motivation as to why you killed, maybe out of revenge or all of these other reasons, which by proximity and by frequency primarily affect them more. The third thing is really important. The impacts to the popo or the police and the entire investigative process in Camp C. This is where I flip opening government case and characterization about the parking ticket. I think that there's more likely to be evidence and context with your partner because absent sex, which was the Hail Mary of opening opposition, they literally know more things about you. And Gov goes, yeah, Seth, they know more, so it's like a leveraged ship and you can control them. But motherfucker, what if they freak out? What if they rat you out? What if they panic? And my POI earlier, what if the popo push hard enough because all the rich bitches are getting mad and the local government's probably freaking out about a fucking killer who's unknown on the island? They're going to push, ladies and gentlemen. And like I said in my POI, if they push hard enough, that person might have a breaking point and may lead to you actually getting caught. And here's the clincher, right? Let's say you do get caught, and this is a round-winning engagement that no side talked about. that's going to affect your partner so much, because the person that they loved, who opening government said they didn't know you killed them, they're gonna be like, oh my gosh, my spouse, that guy, he killed someone, he tried to frame me, but they eventually found out he did it. So that's an earth-shattering thing. As opposed to the comparative, where it's your friend, right? Your friend might be like, oh bro, I didn't know anything about that. I didn't know he was that guy. He was kind of fucking weird, but I didn't know he was a killer. So it becomes so much more damaging to your partner. And we think you as a killer, in as much as you're selfish, you also want to be able to protect their own particular interest as well. Before I proceed, POIs, opening government, closing government. Okay, moving on. What are the popo gonna do? They're going to use your partner, who by the way they know is connected with you, as the ultimate bargaining chip and emotional piece of leverage. It's precisely because they're vulnerable that they're going to be able to use that as a point of comparison, and it becomes so much more fucking proximate to you. Why? Because of what opening up said, right? You guys have sex. But more than that, people know you're together. So for instance, if like Jaron blames Ira, hello, thank you for watching us, it literally makes him a primary suspect. As opposed to Jaron, who blames, let's say, Miguel or some other best friend, you have multiple best friends. Which is to say, there become multiple scapegoats and options to choose from, as opposed to there being a singular partner. Listen to this, Miko and Ella. This is a round-winning explanation because it makes the investigative process so much more difficult and complicated in the web of lies that you've created, and that in and of itself is your interest because you want to be able to get away with it as opposed to you getting caught. What have we proven to you coming from closing opposition? We answered a couple of very, very important questions. The first is, why do you kill people? Answer, long-term motivations that affect your partner and are going to affect your partner if you get caught or if you don't get caught. And secondly, we told you about the role of the popo and how they could use them as a bargaining chip. And thirdly, we talked to you about the investigative process, how all of this works, and the capacity for you to get even more caught if you blame your partner over your friend. We are very proud to oppose.